This is a Trivet. Hi, I'm Bodie Pendis, and today I'm going to show you how to make this trivet with this heart shape already in it with individual slices of wood. Okay, so what I'm doing here is sawing some mahogany because it's red, so I'm making a surprise Valentine shaped trivet for my wife. So the trivet will be about 8 inches square, but it'll have a pattern in it out of the mahogany, which is about as red as I can find for now for the wood. And the outside's going to be pecan. So I'm going to create enough of these 1/8 inch slats to go across. I'll draw the pattern in that, and then we'll cut those off and then put the pieces in there so it's white, so it'll be surrounded by a whiter color pecan. So here I am cutting a bunch of slats. They're 1/8 inch wide, which is pretty narrow. It's the same size as the curve for the saw blade. So I got a bunch of them to cut. Straight cut jig out of this piece of mahogany, and its edge is just sticking out. Since it's rough sawn, all edges are not square. We're going to square up this one edge here and just cut that off right there. So I have my mahogany strips, and I was going to do it 8 inches wide, but realized that these clamps will only go to 7 inches, so that's how wide my heart's going to be. So I printed this on the computer and just sized it to 7 inches. So now all I did was score these lines along the edges, and that way I will know where to cut. And we'll cut everything flat so the edges will not be slanted, they'll be straight across. That way every piece will be flush in the middle. So with that, I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to start numbering these, and that way I'll know exactly what order they'll go in. It'll be easier to do that. So now I have my pattern taken off, and now I'm going to mark this from the widest spot in here a line, so I'll know that those are the pieces that I'm going to be using. Well, there's some pieces that I missed in here, but that way I'm starting numbering those, and then I will be able to reassemble them in order. Hopefully will work for us. The key was to number every piece 1 through 56. So now I've slid all the pieces so the cut lines are all the same, so I can make one cut across all these pieces. See, they're still numbered here, and this is the inverse of what it'll be. So I've got about half of them here, and I'll do those and then cut the other half. Alright, so that's what it looks like after I made the one cut. Okay, so I got about half the heart assembled. It's not perfectly lined up, but you can see we're certainly getting there. So we'll cut the rest of these pieces and get those, and we'll get closer to doing glue up. That looks good. We'll set those aside and we'll work on cutting these. So here's what I got so far. So I have these other pieces set in. These are cut to size. These can go over because that's the edge of the top. I need it to go to at least that far because I'm going to trim it once that is. So I can cut these individually on the saw, and these I can group cut with approximate length as long as it's past that. So I have this section glued up. So now I'm going to glue these sides, clamp those, and we'll get all those done at one time. let's take a look at our heart. Maybe got a third of it done. We've got a glue up going on now, and we'll have to fill in the rest of this all the way up to these boards here. This is where we are in the glue up. We've got maybe 3/4 of the heart glued up. We're getting short of our pecan pieces, so I had to stop and cut some more of those, so we'll work on that. So looks like we have about 2 more sessions. I've been doing about 5 rows at a time. That's about the most before the glue starts to set, so I can make sure I can get them in. We're making progress. So here we are down to our last glue up. So I've got these last 5 pieces to glue in. They'll go here. Then I have this border to go in. I have moved my outside frame out because my clamps will not fit all the way across here. So I'm going to use the pressure clamp. I have this board in here, and I'll just wedge in some pieces here, force it to be tight this way to keep the pressure in so the glue will hold nice. So that's the next step. Now we got to put our frame up patterns in here. We can press this in. So the glue up is complete. We got a little bit of slant on one side. We're really not going to worry about that. I'm going to take the same plywood piece that I had built this on and use it as my planer sled to run it through. I'm going to leave these. Those can catch the snipe as we go through here. So now the whole thing is to be able to plane this side smooth, turn it over, and do the other side. So with that, let's get the planer out. Since I'm dealing with boards that are about 3/4 of an inch thick, I did not want to take too big of bites off each time, so I just lowered my planer about half a turn each time until I felt like it was good enough to be flat and smooth on one side and flip it over. Looks pretty good. Now we got to trim the top. There we go. Now we're going to trim up the edges. We know that this one is close to perpendicular. We'll trim this and just turn it each time and get it approximately the same size. So here we go. Okay, now I have this cut down to size. I'm going to glue on a trim piece on the top and on the bottom to match the outside edges, and then we'll trim that up and we'll be done. Okay, finishing chamfering the edges, got it all sanded up. Boy, does that look nice. This would be a nice little trivet for my Valentine. So now the next thing we'll do, we're going to figure out how we want to finish it. So I've got this all sanded on all sides, and now we're going to figure out if we're going to put a wax on it or if we want to put a poly on it. If you liked our video on our heart-shaped trivet, hey, be sure and give us a thumbs up. You want to see more of our woodworking projects? Be sure and subscribe down below. And as usual, come back and see us real soon.